Yeah, I think that's a fine line you got to draw. I think what best gives you an idea of that is how he handles it in practice. I think every play's got kind of a lifespan of their own. With guys like that, I think you got to be in tune and be intentional with how they look, how they're responding. So I think each play you're assessing exactly where you are as far as how comfortable those type of guys are out there.
You guys the last couple of games have seemed to be able to get behind the secondaries better. You haven't completed as many of them. Is that better route running? Is that just scheming some people up? What do you attribute to being able to get more vertical and get open on those shots the last couple of weeks?
I think it's a little bit of both. Man, I think, on the perimeter, we see on film every week how close we are to connecting on those big ones, right? They won't always happen, but I think showing guys each week of, man, we're a depth here away, or we're a ball location here away, or we're a concentration catch here away. I think showing those guys how close we are, I think better emphasizes that we got to continue to do what we're doing, and it's only a matter of time before you connect on those. And I think ultimately when we do, we'll feel a lot different.
You guys obviously have a lot of things you want to get accomplished during open dates, including just getting rest. How much work can be done in terms of getting down the timing and getting more on the same page in the passing game during an open week like last week?
Any practice is extra reps to be able to get timing and be able to get experience with quarterbacks. Guys have been staying after practice all season long, but being a lot more intentional on that stuff as of late. And I think to what I alluded to before, I think, guys are hungry because they sense how close we are. And I think they're willing to do whatever it takes to make sure going down this stretch that we finish strong and we end up making those plays.
Chris Bradzel's has been solid all year, I'm assuming. But how much can that catch against Alabama for a touchdown, where it was designed for him, how much can that jumpstart him to be a more productive player for you?
Yeah, I think anytime you make plays in a game like that, big-time play in that type of atmosphere, naturally you gain confidence. And I think when you go back and look at the film and you see all the things you did great, but you combine those with, man, I could have cleaned this up here, or I could have had another 2 or 3 here. I think that gives you more fuel paired with that confidence to continue to work and really check off those boxes. So absolutely that play gives you confidence, but more importantly, we got to channel that in the right way and detail the things we need to detail to make more plays like that.
When maybe you look at a couple of those drops or incompletions, does that sometimes come from not getting the timing down correctly, misunderstanding the route you're supposed to run, or how are you making sure that you do end up getting that connection in these coming games?
Yeah, I think, the best athletes, regardless of whose fault, like who could we point the finger at, I don't think that's the case. I think the best athletes take accountability in every sport, right? Like, what could I have done better to make that play? Like, I played the position, and my response was always, I'm not going to be the one to be responsible for an incompletion. And that's been my message to these guys. Like, no matter where the location is, ball's low or not thrown, like, it don't matter. Like, I got to be available, and I got to be ready to make a play whenever that time comes. Like, that's ultimately why we play wide out, is you got to be a playmaker. That's just a part of our job. So that's kind of the message, like, not to necessarily point the finger of whose fault, but what could I have done to get the job done a little bit better. Yeah, I think first half I think we didn't score at all, and then second half you come out and you finally get it started on offense. I absolutely think naturally you gain some confidence. Leaving that game, leaving a couple games this year though, we still hadn't seen our best be put on tape yet. And I think what's unique about this team is most offenses, most players feel that. And they tend to pull up or isolate themselves or paralyze themselves. And I truly feel like these guys are hungry to go get things fixed every week. You got no idea of knowing when exactly that thing is going to get turned over, but you give yourself a chance as long as you continue to work at it and as long as you're intentional with that work. And that's what these guys have been doing.
Kelsey, Mike Matthews has played a little bit here and there over the last 3 games in this month. Where is his progress during his freshman season, and what do you think his role could do the rest of the way?
Yeah, he's flashed at times. He's got a really bright future here. I think a lot of stuff comes with experience, right? Like freshman in this league is hard. There's growing pains in this league. I think as long as he continues to do what he's doing, he's staying positive, he's working his butt off. I think as long as he continues to do those things, it's only a matter of time before he starts to see the plays being made that he wants. And that's the thing, he wants to make plays. He wants to be on the field in critical situations, and he wants to get better. And his attitude as of late has been awesome, and that's what he's working towards.
In that same kind of talk, like when he sees around Ryan Williams making plays and he's in his class, or Jeremiah Smith, and then naturally, I think a lot of these freshmen come in and think they're going to play right away. Do you ever just pull the older guys aside and say, can you talk to him about just kind of sometimes that the path is not just as simple for everybody else?
Yeah, I think older guys are critical in those type of situations. Like this age we live in now, everything's visible, right? Like you can see everything all across the country right at the blink of an eye. That absolutely has an effect on it. But what these guys got to learn at a young age is, man, I got to run my own race. Right? Like my race is different from this guy playing here or this guy playing here. You ultimately don't know where you or them will end up. But what happens is if I'm looking at someone else's plate and I'm not looking at my own food, then my food gets cold and I'm not able to take advantage of my own opportunities. And what that kid has done, he's done an incredible job of not paying attention to outside factors, right? He could be, but at least around me, around this building, he's dialed in. He's got a great attitude. He's hungry, right? That don't mean he's not frustrated. He's hungry, and that's all I can ask for. Like I said, he's got a really bright future here because he's got that attitude, and it's only a matter of time before he starts to make those plays.
What do you feel is something that the wide receiving room could do in the first half of games to really help them settle in and maybe make a few more things happen on offense than in the last few contests?
Yeah, I think don't press. Like, I think these guys, they understand, like, we got to make more plays as an offense, not just a receiver room. But I think once you start to press, and that creates anxiety, and then I'm not being natural and playing football, I think all these guys got to focus on is how do I do my job to the best of my ability. It's that simple. And if we do that at every position, every play, man, we'll continue to roll, and you'll start to see explosive plays. You'll start to see more of the high-power stuff that these guys are wanting to see.
What's been the most encouraging thing that you've seen from Dante Thornton, whether the plays that he makes on the field or in protection?
His positivity. I spoke to it, I alluded to it this offseason. He's had every reason, to go the opposite way. He's dealt with injuries. He's had tough spurts at times in his play between this year and last year. And what that kid's done, he responds to adversity. He responds to success the same way. He goes and works hard. He's positive, and that's why good things continue to happen to him. He comes in the building with a great attitude every day, and that's all you can ask for. So for him, the refreshing thing as his coach is, you see a guy that's continued to respond no matter what happens. And as a coach, that's all I can ask for.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.